The Hinkle Heave.
The Hinkle Heave, here we go!
Caitlin Clark just pulled off something wild, and it didn't even happen in a WNBA game, while the league struggles to keep fans tuning in. Caitlin has already taken her star power somewhere bigger, straight into a viral Dude Perfect collab that's blowing up online. Millions are watching her trick shots, her personality, and her undeniable charisma, proving once again that she's not just carrying her team, she's carrying the entire league. But here's the catch. This moment doesn't just expose Caitlin's insane popularity, it also reveals something the WNBA might not be ready to admit.
The new fans are sucking the life out of the WNBA right now. It's just the truth.
The timing couldn't have been more dramatic. Caitlin Clark was sidelined with an injury, the WNBA's ratings were slipping, and critics were questioning whether the league could survive without her constant presence. Then, out of nowhere, she dropped a collaboration with one of the biggest YouTube groups on the planet, Dude Perfect. Within hours, the video exploded, trick shots from half-court, playful banter, and Caitlin showing off the same confidence that made her a household name. Fans weren't just entertained, they were stunned by how natural she looked outside the WNBA spotlight. Millions of views rolled, turning what could have been a quiet stretch of her career into yet another viral moment.
Outside of LeBron and Steph, she is the most well-known basketball player currently playing in the United States.
And here's the kicker, while most of the league was fighting to get a fraction of that attention, Caitlin had just pulled in more buzz from a YouTube video than the WNBA had seen in weeks of live games. The message was clear, her star power doesn't pause, even when she's not on the court, but that wasn't the end of it, because who she partnered with made this moment even more explosive. To really understand why this collab matters, you have to know just how massive Dude Perfect actually is. We're talking over 60 million subscribers and nearly 20 billion views. People who might never watch a WNBA game suddenly found Caitlin Clark on there. And this isn't the first time Dude Perfect has worked with basketball stars. Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, even Giannis have all made appearances. Each video pulling in 15 to 20 million views like clockwork. That's Super Bowl level exposure for free. But Caitlin's collab hits different. Why? Because she isn't just another athlete. She's still technically a rookie, already being platformed on the same level as MVPs and champions. And instead of looking out of place, she owned it. She joked with the guys, sank shots most players wouldn't dare to try, and showed personality the WNBA desperately needs more of. The result, a cultural crossover moment that didn't just boost Caitlin's profile, it pulled her into a new lane of superstardom. And if Dude Perfect just opened the door to millions of new fans, the question becomes, what happens when those fans follow her back to the WNBA?
It is the highest peak of any game. It is the second highest viewership, which is like average viewership. However, it was the highest peak of any game ever on CBS.
Caitlin Clark isn't just a player anymore. She's an economy. Wherever she goes, numbers skyrocket. Her games sell out weeks in advance. Road arenas that usually sit half-empty suddenly pack in thousands just to see her warm up. Ticket prices that once hovered under $20 are now soaring past hundreds when she's in town. It's not just about seats, either. Her jersey instantly became a bestseller, outpacing established veterans. Television ratings tell the same story. Regular season games that might have struggled to crack six figures are now drawing millions when Caitlin's name is on the roster. That kind of pool is unheard of for a rookie in any league, let alone the WNBA.
Caitlin Clark could have billions of dollars of worth to the WNBA as the star power reaches unforeseen levels.
And here's the wild part. All of this has happened before she's even hit her true prime. She's not leading a dynasty. She hasn't won a championship, yet she's already reshaping the business of women's basketball. That's the kind of influence you usually only hear about with athletes like Michael Jordan or LeBron James. But while Caitlin's stock keeps rising, there's a side of the story the league doesn't want you to notice. Because if her presence lifts everything up, her absence completely exposes the cracks in the WNBA.
It has just broken that Caitlin Clark is out with a left quad strain.
The moment Caitlin went down with an injury, the numbers told a brutal truth. Ticket prices for games without her plummeted. TV ratings, once hitting record highs, slipped back to pre-Caitlin levels almost overnight. The atmosphere shifted. Arenas that had been buzzing felt flat again.
The Storm vs. Wings gave you 339,000.
the most watched WNBA game on NBA TV that did not involve Clark or the Indiana Fever. 339,000. WNBA hasn't seen any growth when it comes to the non-Caitlin Clark games.
It was like pulling the plug on the league's momentum. One player's absence revealed just how fragile the WNBA's growth really is. For years, the league has been searching for that one star who could bring in new audiences, and now that they have her, they're realizing just how much they rely on her to keep the spotlight burning.
The ticket prices have fallen more than 300% in less than 2 days.
Because let's be honest, fans aren't just buying into the WNBA brand, they're buying into Caitlin Clark. She's not a needle mover, she is a needle. And that puts the league in an uncomfortable position if so much rides on one rookie. What happens if she can't carry it all forever?
Chicago Sky, Indiana Fever, from $86 48 hours ago to $25. And by the time June 7th rolls around, it might cost you a bag of Skittles and some Lay's potato chips to get in there.
But Caitlin's influence doesn't just expose the league's dependence, it's also reshaping one of the most heated battles in women's basketball today.
If y'all don't give us what we want, like, we sit out.
That's a possibility, for real.
Yeah.
For years, WNBA players have pushed for bigger contracts, better benefits, and a stronger share of league revenue. And when Caitlin Clark arrived, it looked like the perfect storm, ratings spiking, attendance booming, sponsors finally paying attention. Many believe this was the leverage players had been waiting.
There's been a lot of conversation here lately about a potential walkout. What are your thoughts on that?
And it's something that we're talking about internally, like to, be prepared for. Of course, no one wants that situation to happen, but I do feel like there's some topics that we have in mind that, we have to stand strong in what we believe in too. We have to stand up for what we feel is right and what we feel we deserve. And so while we don't want that situation to happen, of course, I think we're prepared for any possibility right now.
But then came Caitlin's injury, and the league's numbers collapsed without her. Owners seized on that dip as proof that the growth wasn't structural, it was personal. One star, one name, one face driving the entire machine, and suddenly, that weakens the bargaining power of everyone else.
All the owners have to do is say, what if she gets injured again? It's like, we are not committing to this because she can get injured again. And if she gets injured again, it's over.
Players argue that Caitlin's success is proof the league is undervalued. Owners argue the opposite, that she's an outlier, and the rest of the league hasn't earned the same payday. It's a standoff fueled by envy, economics, and the uncomfortable reality that Caitlin Clark might already be worth more than the WNBA can afford. And that brings us to the billion-dollar question, quite literally, because one economist just dropped a staggering number that changes the entire conversation about Caitlin's value.
But if it goes back to worst non-Caitlin Clark numbers, and the worst thing would be if the Indiana Fever ends up being one of the lower viewed teams in the WNBA, that would be even worse. Then the WNBA owners can literally come out and just say to the players that if everything they show with growth, and they can just say, like, we had this growth, look at our average numbers. They were like, nope, we are not taking the average numbers. We are discounting Caitlin Clark games.
When you hear numbers this big, it almost sounds unreal. But economists are already estimating that Caitlin Clark could generate over $1 billion in value for the WNBA in 2025 alone. Think about that. A single rookie, not even in her prime yet, projected to bring in the kind of economic impact usually reserved for entire franchises. Ticket sales, merchandise, sponsorships, media rights. Every dollar seems to multiply when her name is attached. She's turned casual fans into diehards. And she's introduced millions of new viewers to a league that's been chasing mainstream relevance for decades.
She's packing now larger arenas. She's taking and making shots nobody's ever done in the history of the sport. She is Steph Curry. I mean, there's a reason the NBA puts Steph Curry on Christmas.
And yet, here's the paradox. The same league that benefits the most from her rise has often seemed hesitant to embrace her fully. Some players bristle at the outsized attention. Certain media voices dismiss her as overhyped. And behind the scenes, whispers suggest the WNBA fears putting too much weight on one star. But whether they like it or not, Caitlin's value is undeniable. And the more the numbers climb, the more it exposes just how much resentment is brewing around her. Because while fans celebrate her rise, not everyone in the league is cheering.
Quote, once I found out Caitlin wasn't playing, it didn't make sense for us to fly to Indianapolis. Of course not. Kopecky said in a phone interview, We are Caitlyn fans before Fever fans. She's the biggest draw. That's who the girls want to see.
Here's the harsh reality. Instead of welcoming Caitlin Clark as the rising tide lifting all boats, too many voices in and around the WNBA had treated her like a threat. From players throwing shade in interviews, to media narratives downplaying her impact, to even fans gatekeeping what a real supporter looks like, the resentment has been loud and consistent, and every time, it's a missed opportunity.
319%. 319%. All other teams still grew by double-digit percentages. So let's not forget that. But they didn't grow by 319%. It was Caitlin Clark.
Because history tells us this is exactly how leagues grow. The NBA didn't explode because fans fell in love with the league. They fell in love with Magic, Bird, and MJ, individual stars pulling casual fans, who then become invested in the league as a whole. That's how it works. But instead of embracing the flood of new Caitlin Clark fans, the WNBA's old guard has often antagonized them, dismissing them as outsiders, mocking their loyalty, even tolerating narratives that pit Caitlin against her peers. It's short-sighted, because when you alienate the very group that's buying tickets, boosting TV ratings, and selling out arenas, you're not gatekeeping, you're self-sabotaging. And now, with Caitlin sidelined and the contrast in numbers laid bare, that failure of vision is clearer than ever. What could have been the WNBA's greatest growth moment risks becoming a cautionary tale of jealousy, pride, and resistance to change.
There's these people who are fans of indie bands, international soccer, and the WNBA. They have this gatekeeping mentality. We'll tell you who's great.
If you want proof of just how big Caitlin Clark has become, look no further than outside the WNBA. When she played against Brazil's national team, the reaction was jaw-dropping. There were no boos, no cheap shots, no jealousy. Instead, she was mobbed like Michael Jordan. Players lined up for selfies. Coaches praised her talent. Fans treated her like a once-in-a-generation superstar.
It's how this Brazilian national team that played the Fever, it's the way they received her, the way they celebrated her. It's quite a contrast that these women of color from Brazil and their coach had, as opposed to the American players and American women of color and how they treat Caitlin Clark.
And here's why that matters. Recognition drives growth. Cultural respect fuels momentum. If other countries are already embracing her as the face of the game, and the WNBA continues to drag its feet, the league risks missing out on the exact player who could elevate it onto the world stage. The Dude Perfect collab is just another example of this. Tens of millions of fans around the globe are watching Caitlin laugh, compete, and shine, and instead of the league capitalizing on it, it feels like they're still debating whether her success is even good for the WNBA. That hesitation is costing them, and fans everywhere can see it.
The resentment is understandable, but it's not about Caitlin Clark, it's about what she represents. If you're Magic and Bird, that didn't stop Jordan from coming along and doing what he did. Over the years that followed, it didn't stop the Vince Carters of the world, the Allen Iversons of the world, the Shaq Diesel, Shaquille O'Neals of the world, the Hakeem Olajuwons of the world, the Charles Barkleys of the world.
At the end of the day, Caitlin Clark's Dude Perfect collab is more than just a fun viral moment. It's proof of what we've been saying all along. Caitlin isn't just part of the WNBA, she is the WNBA right now. While ticket sales crash without her, while TV ratings stumble, while old narratives crumble, Caitlin is out here breaking barriers, reaching new audiences, and keeping women's basketball in the spotlight even when she's not on the court. And here's the kicker, the most watched WNBA moment of the month won't even be a WNBA game. It'll be Caitlin Clark on YouTube, pulling off insane trick shots and introducing herself to millions of fans the league still hasn't figured out how to welcome. That's the contrast. That's the wake-up call. Caitlin Clark is doing everything she can to grow. The only question is, will the league finally rise with her, or keep standing in her way? Before you go watch the Dude Perfect video, drop a goat in the comments if you believe Caitlin Clark is already the greatest of her generation. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more Caitlin updates. Because trust me, this story is only getting started.